All right, we are live, folks. The storm is here. Welcome to the first ever show of Anal Zero.
That's exciting.
I know, right? We're really excited for this opportunity, and thank you guys for allowing us to join the two shows together and do a crossover event like this. So I guess with that, shalom, welcome to all aboard, welcome to Channel Zero. I'm Adam, and as always, I'm here with LK and sometimes Ned when he shows up.
What the fuck, Ned?
He's having dinner. Come on.
He's already long asleep. He ate 6 hours ago. And for the first time ever, we're joined by Channel Zero. They're a great group of guys, Elvin, E, Zach. Before I jump into that, I just really want to quickly just go off to the tangent, and LK did warn you all that I do this. I know that he's a little bit of a divisive person, and I may get in trouble for this, but I just want to give a quick shout out because he's a huge friend of us at Anal. And if you haven't listened to his first new episode of Matt J's, aka the artist formerly known as DEC's new podcast, it's really good. I thought it was a really interesting story to hear him talk about his alcoholism. I highly recommend it, and I just want to throw that out.
As a sex addict, I agree 100% with his, with what he says about being addicted and all that. There's no limits. Once you start having it, you gotta keep having it. So I appreciate his podcast.
All right. Well, enough of that intro bullshit, and let's just jump right into it. So, like I said, we got Channel Zero here. You know them as the conspiracy show that's been on the KMS YouTube almost from the very beginning. And you guys have had your shares of controversy in the past. You've been accused of just about every type of evil, including anti-Semitic, which I can attest that none of you are, or at least I've yet to see a swastika. But last week, I'd say things got taken to a whole new level. Elvin, you're sort of the go-to for the Metaverse and Channel Zero, so I'll let you start with this. But what happened?
Yeah, so I'll try to put it concisely, but how it played out was I got a message from Steve. He DM'd me on Twitter stating that two of our shows actually were taken down from the channel due to bullying, which is a subcategory of harassment, which I think if anyone has watched our show knows that's absolute bullshit. We can get into some of that stuff here in a second. So we talked about it for a little while, and ultimately the decision was, let's just pull all of your shit down. We don't want to get the third strike on the channel and kind of shut us down entirely. We agreed to that. Fast forward, a little while, I tweeted some things out to the fans, just letting them know we're off. Thanks for the support. And, we got a pretty decent response just, based on, number of followers we have, which isn't many, but we're like small and mighty. But Kirk reached out subsequently and said, hey, miscommunication, which I thought was a weird term to use there. But you guys are allowed on the channel. So here we are. We haven't done a show yet because I think we're still kind of figuring out what's going on and how the Channel Zero crew as a whole feels about it. I'm sure we'll get into some of that and how Zach and E feels, because I don't think they've talked to the public since all this stuff happened.
Why don't you guys take that chance?
Well, I've been hiding in the basement like Biden on this whole thing. No, here's the thing. I don't want to bring any problems to the Kirkman Network. I don't want to bring in. He's given us a platform. He's given us, a built-in fan base, which is so huge. So we're more than thankful for that. So we don't want to fuck shit up for him. At the same time, I want to know who this is. I want them to come on the show so we can tear them limb from limb. But I don't know. To me, I think these people are just a waste of time. Who actually takes the time to, go through and watch people's videos and bitch and complain and everything like that? I mean, maybe it's some YouTube algorithms. I'm kind of hoping that for humanity's sake, because people are fucking ridiculous. If I don't like somebody, am I going to take the time to watch their shit? Probably not.
I mean, and if it's the algorithm, fine. But if someone did that, it's such a coward move, Why don't you just go and confront, you guys, instead of just, doing that? That's Bullshit move.
I'll say this first. Whoever's job it was to remove our videos, they did a bad job because all our videos are still on the channel, just like except for like two of them. But no, that was
right two though. That's the question.
I guess I don't know. This is the whole thing. It's like bullying, and this is my whole thing. And you guys kind of hit on. It's like it's an anonymous person in the shadows. We don't know who it is. They're flagging it for bullying with no actual examples of bullying. It's like such a shitty situation where it's like we don't have a chance at rebuttal. We don't know. Give us an example. And
do you guys know what episodes got taken down and what the theme was?
Yeah, it was 2 episodes. I know Justin knows.
One of them was related to COVID because we gave misinformation on COVID.
Yeah,
that one might have been the algorithm actually.
That could have been, yeah.
So there were 3 episodes in total that were taken down. The first one was episode 3, and that one was just taken down. It said for COVID misinformation, and that didn't count as a strike or anything. And then the other ones, I believe it was 9 and 27, I think, or maybe 33. I don't know. I have them written down somewhere. And the first one was taken down, and it said for bullying, and it was just a warning. So I just thought maybe it was just something stupid. But then the second one got taken down, and it counted as a strike, and the YouTube we were like locked out of YouTube for 7 days. So
damn.
And I made your videos unlisted, so if you still have the links to them, you can still click on them, but you can't like search them, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah. So getting back to the conspiracy behind this and the anonymous aspect of it, do you guys have any ideas or any thoughts on who it might be? I know that the show talks about Murchison. I personally would have assumed Zonker. I don't think that this is Murchison's MO. And I know Zonker has tweeted out posts about you guys with your Soroff take and about how anti-Semitic you guys are, etc. So that's why that was my first thought. But
yeah, this is a Zonker. That's what it looks like to me. Somebody who hides in the shadows, won't come on anyone's shows. And if he does, he hides his fucking face because he's a pussy. But like, that's the thing.
There you go. Okay, guys, nice video.
Grow up, Barrel guy.
But yeah, no, it seems to me like a Zonker type job, or like I said, could be the algorithm. The censorship today is overwhelming.
Listen, that's why we never get taken down by algorithm. The algorithm doesn't understand me, so we're safe. We're good.
It's true. Well, I mean, did you guys watch the testimony today from Twitter and Facebook?
I didn't get to see it.
They have one every week. I can't keep up.
That's true. Elvin, did you feel like you were kindred souls there with all of the Republicans there that were complaining?
Dude, big tech is an absolute fucking scam. First off, they need to identify themselves properly. Are you a publisher or are you not? And then act accordingly in that sense. Allow all content or allow whatever content you want with the understanding that you are picking and choosing, and you are, willing to be influenced and kind of.
And everyone should be held to the same fucking standard too,
right?
Like,
yeah.
People saying, something about QAnon get banned, but then you have people that are like wanting to assassinate Trump, and they're like, "Yeah, go ahead, promote the shit out of this." I saw
earlier today that Jack was pressed on someone posting that the Holocaust was fake. Speaking about our history of what people may think, and he defended that as within terms and conditions, which makes absolutely no sense. There's no one in this earth. I don't care how much of a conspiracy theorist you are. You can be E completely on one end or Zach completely on the other. And these are topics that they can agree on, that shit happened, is real, and it's not worth even speculating or wondering anything other than that. So it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's actually interesting because I mean, obviously, I don't disagree with that at all. Being a grandson of survivors, but I would say that I would probably. Truthfully be in favor of not banning any speech, even if that means that speech has to be included. Because again, then it's just a slippery slope. And I mean, I don't know. I used to work in social media. My experience in it, I don't think the algorithms are good enough to go into the video. If anything, it may have flagged keywords, either tags or keywords from your from either a transcript or your description. but I just I don't know. I believe
yeah,
that someone probably reported you.
It's totally plausible. I think Google has technology to go over your audio and get some keywords. I wouldn't.
Yeah, but I think you have to, in all, with all due respect, I think you have to be a little bit of a bigger deal in order for Google to use that technology.
I don't think they're scanning every single video.
Exactly.
That's totally possible.
Exactly.
But back to the Senate hearings.
Mm-hmm.
How much bullshit was Jack's answer when someone asked about the New York Post post about the elections, and then Jack said, "Oh no, we fixed the problem." No, about Hunter Biden, right?
Yeah.
We fixed the problem a day later. It's like bullshit. A day later, the damage was done, right? The amplification wasn't the same.
It also wasn't fixed for 2 weeks because
it was not a day later.
Yeah. No, they took the label out, but what he didn't mention was that they demanded New York Post to delete the post in order to revert everything. So
yep.
I will say, okay, can I say real quick, speculating further? I think the direction the KMS show is going is highly right leaning, and I know Kirk doesn't feel that he's a Republican or he's down the middle, right? I think there's a fair amount of just KMS fans that feel like, there's a little bit of a bait and switch here as of late, particularly when Mike left the show, because it's become a lot more political. Obviously, it's more topical as well with the election. So I just think there's a lot of angry people that are willing to report people like us or others that are spewing this type of stuff in general. So I don't know if it's Zonker. It'd be flattering if Zonker is still on our case. Sorry.
You touched a good point. However, I'm very disappointed in Steve. I was expecting a very political Steve during elections, unless Kirk told him not to do it. I'm kind of disappointed with his coverage. I was expecting full SE for 2 months, and that never happened. So
I think that was probably
this perspective.
I mean, he also probably could read the room to the point where he knew that Kirk will let him go so far before Kirk is going to just say, "All right, this is too much."
But the YouTube channel is always open for him, right? He could have done something on the YouTube channel.
That's true.
Produce more content on his Twitter.
Maybe he's deep state.
Maybe he reported us. Maybe it's inside.
Yeah, I know.
There you go. I also, in all fairness, I also don't know how much free time Steve has given the show and the live shows and the secret project. No, I mean, I agree. I think that there's definitely been a highly political drive, but again, I think it's probably because of the topical aspect of it. And I think that if Mike left and we were in March. I don't think that it would have been as politically driven, but who knows? I mean, I guess we'll see what comes for the next couple of weeks. But before we move on, is there anything else you guys want to mention about the your YouTube situation? And anything else that you feel is Zach? You look like you want to say something.
I'm looking at Zach.
Zach is biting his tongue right now.
Well, here's the thing. When this all happened, I have a job, I have a family, and it's like we're not making money doing this YouTube show. We do this for fun. If there's some troll loser, whatever out there that's ready to fuck my personal life up, this isn't worth it for me anymore.
Oh,
yeah. So and granted, hey, if that means he won, cool, you won, dude. Good for you. It's not worth it for me at that point. So that's really my whole thing is this is the problem with the anonymity thing. It's I want to know who the fuck did this. If it was a Murchison, millionaire activist, whatever the fuck he is, just to take a quick step back, I don't know a lot about the Kirk Minahan world. I listened to him on EEI. I don't listen to the podcast that much, but I know who Murchison is. It's if it was that type of character, it's I don't even want to fucking go down that road.
Yeah.
It's not worth it for me, So that's my whole thing is now I'm playing this big guessing game. I'm do we roll the dice and keep doing the show and risk my livelihood and my my income and all this stuff? It's fuck. So now I find myself at this little crossroads with our little fucking 300 view YouTube show. It's just a weird situation because I love doing it and I love having these conversations, but I'm when am I hitting this point where it's is this worth it? Is this even worth it anymore?
I mean, I totally understand that. And I think that, I had a very similar conversation with my wife, a couple of months ago, I want to say, when actually it was him, but Zonker created a fake account about me, and like waited until Sabbath started, and then like sent me a DM being like, "Hey, I see that you're not." You don't follow any of the local rabbis or stuff that I follow in our community. Maybe I should join in on the conversations for on our behalf, or some like stupid threatening thing like that. Whatever. His account got suspended before Sabbath even ended. But I was just like, to come out to that after Sabbath, I was like, what? I'm doing this for fun. This is not anything serious. There's nothing here. Like I enjoy talking to LK and Ned every week, and I think that it's a fun thing, and it's a great experience and escape.
All right, enough
for me,
about Adam.
but my 3 kids aren't gonna be fuck you. But I still need to feed my 3 kids. I still need to keep this roof over their head, and I'm just like, what would drive someone to the point where they feel that they hate an opinion or a show that someone else likes so much that they would want to ruin someone and threaten their personal life? And that account followed my kid's school, followed my local rabbi. Like it was I was in a very similar crossroads.
Creepy.
Yeah. Yep.
That's what I mean.
And I think we've talked about that, Adam, in the past. Go watch our previous episodes, people. But the power of and influence of social media, right? I think it exacerbates the worst of people. Because I bet if you were to meet Zoker in person and talked it out, maybe you guys wouldn't be at that stage. Maybe you still have opposite political views, but you can have a conversation. I have friends that are liberal, and so what? It's life as usual. So I think the social media, the internet aspect influences on this. But enough about Adam. I just have one question.
Wait. One more thing, just to steal a line from Kirk. I voted for Hillary in 2016, so I have plenty of liberal leanings also.
So
what do you want?
I have a question to the Channel Zero guys before we move on. Do you guys think that it will change your approach to the shows, like in terms of picking less polarizing topics or having a different approach when talking about them, or you're gonna do business as usual?
If I can chime in first, this is the whole thing. We haven't said anything that hasn't already been said on 1,000 other podcasts and 1,000 other shows. I mean, even Rogan, and he's got Alex Jones. They're talking about wild shit. They're saying all this crazy shit, and he's the most popular podcast in the world. We get 300 followers. We didn't say anything offensive, and I'm worried about my fucking being doxxed. Like, what the fuck,
Yeah, and I think that leads me to believe that you guys were the easiest path to get to Kirk. You know?
I think we're being used as pawns more than anything here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm kind of going to go with the flow of what these guys want to do because I want to keep the show together. I love the synergy that we have. Personally, if it was just me, I want to go harder. Like I want to say even more crazy shit.
Yep.
But we'll see what these guys want to do.
I mean, I think like we're going to say what we feel in a lot of cases. Like, do I think there's an election heist in progress? Yes. Do I think COVID has been completely overblown? Yes, I do. I mean, these are things that I feel. If that's going to get me in trouble or get strikes on the channel, then that's on Kirk, I guess, to kick us out. Like he told us he understands what the risk is and doesn't care. I don't think anyone wants to see a watered down conspiracy show. Like if we come in and start kind of playing like little slap fighting with each other, it's just like, what's the point?
Yeah,
that's fair. Well, moving on to a little bit of a lighter topic and, not so controversial, especially for YouTube. I just have to ask you guys to explain something to me because it is, I've just never been able to fully grasp it. What the fuck is QAnon?
I guess you guys are going to look at me for this one.
Of course.
So this is not a YouTube friendly thing. This will probably go take it down. However, so QAnon is actually not what it is. So that's what the media calls it. Q has actually gone to the extent of telling us that Q is him or them, and the Anons are us who follow or, work on it together. But basically, think about it this way. We believe that the world has been run by satanic pedophiles for a long time that are all, basically running shit the way that they want. They eventually want to turn us into a one world government, have us be slaves. That's this like conversion to socialism that they're trying for us. And, you know, bring us to the Great Reset. I don't know if you guys have heard about that, but like basically handing over your car, your property and everything, but all your debt's gone. But guess what? Now you're like property of the state. Well, QAnon is basically a military intelligence operation that this started before Trump. This was high level ranking military officials. We don't know their names. I have some ideas. And they say that it's 7 military people and 3 civilians, one of which obviously is Trump, who's in on it. But basically, they asked Trump to run for president. They needed someone who was polarizing and could capture a vote, like big enough of a lead so that when, you know, say they flip votes like we're seeing now, that he could still overcome the election fraud. So basically, they asked him to run and kind of be the face of this, be the distraction while they take down these networks of satanic pedophiles. And some of the things have come to pass, like Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. And, you know, we're seeing more and more. Even today, someone had posted about another pedophilia ring in Florida with 186 people arrested. Like,
that's where Ned is.
That
explains everything.
That's why he's not in here.
So, like, when people want to frame Q as some dangerous Antifa like bullshit, that's not what it is. Is like, we just love humanity. We want a free world. We want a free like America, and that's, you know, we're hoping that Trump is the face of this, but he's not the one in charge. If that makes sense.
You're using "we" a lot.
Yeah,
you're using "we" quite a bit. Are you an anon? Are you in?
Q?
So, but like, so is QAnon or Q like you said it's a group of people, but how do they operate? Do they like just spread content all over social media, or is it like underground?
Yeah, I didn't explain that part well.
Yeah.
So basically, it started on 4chan, which is, you know, sort of underground, and then it moved to 8chan, which is even more underground. But basically, what Q does is drops hints or questions to make you think about what's going on in the world so that you can kind of put together the story on your own. It's not like he's just telling us this is how it is, you need to believe, but like, it's more so like, here, think about this, be critical about it. And I actually put a link in the thing if you guys want the QAnon.pub. You can see like a couple of his latest posts that have to do with the election. I don't know if you guys wanted to pop that in.
Sure.
You're on.
Hang on, I'll share it into the conversation, into the private chat. And Justin, if you can pull that up.
Oh, the second one. There's 2 links there.
Oh, sorry there.
But yeah, so basically and this movement has grown like they never thought it would. And the way I look at it is, you know, if the media is coming after you, you're probably doing the right thing. I mean,
so the reason that he doesn't go to the extent of showing everything, is it because they don't know for sure, or they want just to pique people's interest?
They want to pique people's interest and kind of prepare the public for the fact that like there's going to be this mass arrest event, basically. So like, if you look at his latest post here from November 12th, he put just the American flag and it says, "Nothing can stop what is coming." Nothing. The next post after that, he's talking about people getting fired that are in part of the election. Go up a little bit. It's actually to the left there. And this is an interesting line of questioning because he says, you know, why is it relevant that this person, you know, in charge of election stuff was fired? How do you show the public the truth? How do you safeguard the U.S. elections after POTUS? And how do you remove foreign interference and corruption? So basically making you think like the only way that we can do this is to show the public the corruption, to actually bring it to the forefront, because no one's going to believe it unless they see undeniable proof at this point, especially if it's in Trump's favor.
Yeah, just for audio purposes, the link is QAnon.pub, PUB. Yep. So people want to access later.
Yep, exactly. So
I think us
Justin, you can probably take the video down.
I think us liberal don't believe on this. I think it's all fabricated. You know, I think it's a distraction, smoke and mirrors.
Do you think it's a psyop?
I think it's a way to take the focus out of Trump. You know, but now Biden won. January 21st, he will be, you know, crowned the president. Queen Kamala will be there, so things are getting better.
No fucking
student
way.
debt will be gone. You know, so
I saw that. Yeah.
Well,
I
that's
just
the
paid
thing.
off my
Nothing-
student debt. What the
nothing
fuck?
to worry about.
I'll tell you right now, though, like if this doesn't turn in Trump's favor, then the QAnon stuff is going to kind of go out the window for a lot of people. I mean, I still feel like the movement and the patriotism will still be in, you know, will bring people together, but it's not going to be this following Q because things have to fall in line. If Trump doesn't get reelected, the arrests don't happen, etc. Like,
Well, and Q
So-
would technically lose access, right? Because the whole point is he's embedded within, this current administration, or that group is, and they have inside information. So if Trump is gone and they clean house, you would think Q or the group of Q people would be gone, right?
So,
More than
have
likely.
you communicated with them, or everything that you get is like public?
no.
I don't think he's supposed to answer that question.
What have I communicated with them? I'm not that.
Or like DMs or whatever. I'm not saying that you know them.
Come on, haven't you gone to QAnon and just their Twitter handle, just immediately, just twitter.com/QAnon and just start DMing?
It's an honest. It's top up, by the way, but it's an honest question.
I know that was the chip. Oh God.
Nobody knows like who Q is though. And if he had a Twitter account, it would be banned.
But don't they have email or anything on the site? I didn't.
No.
No, but people on the message boards of 8chan can message to Q, and sometimes he actually puts a reply up because it's like relevant to what he's talking about.
So how does this though coincide with, like, I've seen, for example, there was a documentary on, or sort of dramatic documentary on Netflix about something about basically this ultra Christian group that is based in DC.
Oh, the family.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so they were claiming their connection to, getting someone like Trump elected. And, so how is it that how do you sort of just combine those two, I guess, into each other? I mean, is it just that one person is actually just straight up lying, or,
Well, here's the thing is, like with anything Netflix, Susan Rice is on the board, so I don't trust it instantly. But
fair?
I do believe like the family also, it to me, it represents like a secret society, just like Skull and Bones. You look at Skull and Bones, that's where the Bushes came through, the Clintons, fucking John Kerry. Like these people do groom specific people to be, president and stuff like that. I feel like it is predetermined on some level. Trump came in and shook shit up. He was not supposed to win that election, but it was, I found it interesting that they put that twist in there that like, this group was responsible for, getting Trump there, because I almost feel like that was a diversion. Because I'm on the Q train still. So
all right, that's fair. Well, we'll get back to Trump in a little bit, but I guess we can lighten the load a little bit here. So I guess the show's going to Saudi Arabia, boys. Or so they commented, and while I do hope that they actually do go to the Middle East, and maybe I can sort of convince them to go to Israel and then actually have a purpose to the show. I did.
Eye rolls.
I know, right? I did enjoy though the segment, and I like the idea of it. There were some hidden gems that I'll get to in a couple of minutes. That Kirk laid out there that I think went right over Steve's head. But I'm going to start with you, LK. I'm going to ask you two questions. And then I'm going to go around the horn. So Elvin next, then E. Zach, you can answer. I know you're not a huge KMS guy, so but you can definitely still join in. So if they did, let's say, have a show in Saudi Arabia, would you actually travel there for it? And where's your dream location for a KMS live show? And you can't say your family room or your living room just so you don't have to go anywhere.
I would definitely go. I even looked at visas and see if like my country would be in the list of visas. And unfortunately, it's a visa required like in the US. So it doesn't matter which passport I use. I would have to have a visa anyway. I think it's cool. I mean, I love traveling. I love going to different places. I would love to go to Saudi Arabia and see what's going on there, and to match that up with a KMS show. Absolutely. My dream place. So I have two places that I want to travel on my bucket list, and those are Japan and Australia. So, like if they would do a show in either of those countries, I would definantely go.
You can't do Australia because then Menners would come and it would just be
fine. Menners is fine. I mean, for all of his,
I know. I'm fucking around.
Yep. The fake persona. He's a nice guy. I like him. I actually started talking to him more once he unfollowed me from Twitter, and we talk a lot on WhatsApp, and I like Manners a lot,
Yep.
and Australia would be nice, or Japan, like
Hey,
those are my
have you listened to Menner's new show?
which one?
Fairground Fuck Ups.
Oh, it's awesome! I love it. I love
Really?
it. So I love thrill rides. I love those kind of theme parks. So it's like it's good to see the other end of the spectrum, not the reality, but the things that can happen. So I think it's well produced. I think the narrator does a good job. So shout out to Fairgrounds Fuck Ups.
Really quickly for anybody for 99% of the people listening who don't know what we're talking about. I messaged Menners on the side asking him about like how he set up the StreamYard to accept incoming calls because we want to do a live show. And he was like, "Oh, Justin did it. But by the way, here's my new podcast." And he like sent me the link, and it's called Fairground Fuck Ups, and it's about like roller coasters where people die or whatever. and I'm like, "Oh, wow, what a theme." And he goes, "Not a comedy." That was all he said back.
It's not
a comedy.
It's about accidents, and
That is crazy.
and if you see how bad it is, and I'll never go to one again. Out of the 3 first episodes, 2 is about Six Flags, and I'm never going to Six Flags again.
I love Superman at Six Flags.
I know it's awesome, but I started researching there, and if you see like Six Flags major accidents, there's a list of 10. So they have 8 more episodes at least on Six Flags to go.
Right.
So I'm not going to Six Flags again.
We've given him enough free publicity. Elvin, what do you got for us? Would you travel to Saudi Arabia, and where is your ideal location?
I mean, I don't think we're traveling anywhere anytime soon, especially if Biden, holds up here.
Listen,
I think we're locked in.
There's no way, anyways, Kirk would ever travel to Saudi Arabia for a show. But let's pretend.
I'm probably out on Saudi Arabia. I think that one's a little bit beyond my comfort zone. If he were to have one at, like, say, Skinwalker Ranch in Utah, or like Stonehenge, or Egyptian, check out the pyramids, like kind of on theme with what we're into, those would be ideal. I'd be in
like that.
All right. What about you, E?
I would go to Saudi Arabia. My biggest thing, honestly, is I don't like to fly. I'm kind of a pussy when it comes to that shit. But I've always wanted to go to Saudi Arabia. I feel like the U.S. has a good relationship with them, so like they'd be cool with us.
Shout out Trump.
That's right. And I think I'd go. Yeah.
All right.
And in terms of like ideal location, you guys are you're gonna think this is fucked up. But Little St. James Island, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of it. That's Epstein's Island. I want the show there so we can fucking explore that place for ourselves. Get the dirt.
So much content for the show.
Oh my God, endless.
Oh God, Zach,
How about
do you have
Adam?
an answer?
Same
Zach, do you have an
question for you.
answer?
Yeah.
I mean, would I go to Saudi Arabia for a Kirk Minahan show? No, definitely not. Ideal location? No. I have no. I have no input on it. I don't
That's
even.
fair.
Yeah.
No, that's
How about
that's
you,
fair.
Adam?
I certainly would. I'm not going to Saudi Arabia anytime soon. It's probably not in my best interest. I think I would probably stick with the fact that I would love to do a KMS in Israel and be able to do a whole thing like that.
You preach tolerance and all that, and you wouldn't go to Saudi Arabia. That's kind of bullshit.
Well, it's nothing to do with being intolerant. It has to do with a tolerance level towards me.
Yeah, but aren't
I think they
aren't
were
they the next one to sign the peace deal?
I as far as I'm aware, yes, but until that ink is dried, I am staying safe.
Fair.
Aren't they still like stoning women in the streets in Saudi Arabia? Like, why are we going to Saudi Arabia? Like, what the?
Well, listen, the WWE did they did a lot to change it. And by the way, those were the hidden gems that I wanted to quickly throw in here. Is that Kirk was basically reading off of the WWE messaging and press releases for why they were going to Saudi Arabia when he was talking about how they're going to not to change a country that has controversial views, but to sort of try to help show it what else there is and how they can move forward. And we're not going to be able to change the past, but together we can do something. Like basically that whole Rocky spiel was completely straight up the WWE messaging, and I think it just went straight over Steve's head because he just wouldn't know. But I was sitting there just like pissing in my pants laughing. He's just quoting Vince McMahon almost verbatim.
Yeah, and definitely went over my head because I don't watch WWE. So it was interesting to hear that from you yesterday when you were talking about that.
Yep.
It just goes to show Kirk's genius. But I do have 3 interesting facts about Saudi Arabia. Maybe it will change Elvin's mind.
All right.
Did you know about 100 camels are sold every day in Saudi Arabia?
That's a low number.
I was gonna say,
very low.
I'm shocked by that number.
So Riyadh, the capital, has a large camel market. On average, 1 person has been executed every other day in Saudi Arabia since 2015.
Also seems low.
Yeah,
So I wonder what traffic is like over there. You're talking me into this.
Yeah. So
Camels and executions,
this one is interesting. So Saudi Arabia is the largest country without largest country in the world without a river. So no river in Saudi Arabia.
Without a river.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a fun fact.
That is a bizarre fact.
I know, right? That's all
they are
got
in the
for
middle of the
Saudi Arabia.
desert, so it's probably not the most surprising thing.
wow.
And women can drive. That's right.
Well, I don't know how else we can talk that when it comes to Saudi Arabia. So I guess we should probably just get back to what everyone wants to hear from us. So I really didn't want to do this, but these days we can't really avoid the election. So let's talk about the latest conspiracy to hit the internet. So that would be Dominion. And we've seen reports that key Democrats have stakes in the company. And this is the company that's used to manage the voting technology in many of the key battleground states. We've also seen retorts to these reports almost instantaneously that these claims are patently false. We've also seen in the past day or two it go as far as to say that the federal government raided the Dominion office, and it turns out that they have these maps showing that Trump won handedly. And then on Q, we've gotten plenty of reports to the contrary. So E, you were very excited to talk about this when we brought it up in our pre-show call last night. So I'm going to let you start the conversation on this one.
Yeah, I think Dominion is the key to Trump winning the election. Personally, I think that it's already been proven that it's flipped votes. And what I've seen recently is the fact that it was used in multiple elections. Believe it or not, they say it was actually used in 2016, but they only rigged 3% of the vote, so that basically it wasn't enough to overcome Trump's.
Because they didn't think Trump would win.
Yeah, exactly. They never thought she would lose. So that was interesting. They used it twice to screw Bernie. So liberals can be pissed too. And this is really, I guess, was used in 2013 in Venezuela. Where Maduro is basically like this whole shit. Yeah. So like that makes me very nervous that they're,
But here's my question.
Right? So just to clarify, I've been doing a lot of research on this, and apparently Dominion has nothing to do with Smartmatic, which is the company that was created by Venezuela. They are actually
look at
competitors.
trying to clear his homeland's name.
They are actually. Are you done?
I'm sorry.
They are actually competitors. And Smartmatic bought a bunch of technology from Diebold, which runs election systems all over Latin America, and they are fucking disaster. So I do not believe on that company at all. Smartmatic in the US only runs 2 states, one being California. So I don't think they are a major player on this because California is blue anyway. But Dominion, which according to them, they are totally not related, has been running, 13, 14 states in the country. And if you see all the flipped states plus the real tight ones, they were involved. Right?
Exactly.
But wait a second. But here's my question on this. So part of this conspiracy goes to the fact that it's, apparently there's some, heavy hitting Democrats that have a stake in Dominion, and it's been tied to the Clintons. It's been tied to others, but paperwork shows that it's really just not that's not true. That it's really just, they may have donated to the Clinton campaign, to the Clinton Foundation rather, years and years ago, but there is no actual connection to everyone else. So, again, this is where I just sometimes lose it with these conspiracy ideas, is the fact that like the paperwork shows it. And I know that it's very easy to say, hey, well, it's fake, it's not true, or it's not real, and it's hidden under shell corporations. And maybe that's the case, but it's just, what's your retort to that?
Well, I've never even really been on the like, oh, it's, Democrats run it, Democrats are donating to it, whatever. Like, I think it's much bigger than that. I think there's like world players like George Soros that have a stake in this type of shit. But like, this is much more bigger than party or anything like that, because there's plenty of Republicans out there that don't want Trump involved. The other thing is their servers, I guess, there's this conflicting narrative that the servers in Germany were seized by the U.S. Army. I actually did put a clip in here of Louis Gohmert talking about it, who is a representative in Congress. So it's interesting. He's saying it, but then the news comes out like Reuters and everything and says this never happened. My first fucking question is, why are our elections results data being sent over to Germany in the first place? Why is there foreign interference in our election? Like,
so
and,
before,
and it's so hypocritical, right? Because in 2016, not my president, he wasn't elected, legally, blah blah blah.
I think you need to change back away from it, LibK. I think you need to go back to LK.
No, and just like 2016, not my president.
Right.
2020, Biden, Harris. So pick a lane and stick with it. That's
before I start ranting about the way our elections are done. Elvin or Zach, neither of you have had a chance to pipe in yet on this one. Do either of you have any thoughts on this?
Real quick, I'll say, and Zach, feel free to hop in as well. Like I think we all agree that there's fuckery going on in every election, right? And we're just trying to understand what the scale of the fuckery is. So if that means, you have to kick in doors in Germany and do whatever you need to do, like, I'm fine with that. I'd love for Trump to win, but I think a theory that I've talked about with the guys a lot is there is a kind of theory that I have that like Trump losing might be the good part. Like, he might expose the media and all of the election fraud that's happening as he's burning in flames and going down. And that's okay. And that's okay. Like, if we can resolve this for going kind of forward looking. But go ahead, Zach. Sorry.
No, that was what I was going to say. I think there's fraud in every single election. And is it enough to sway the vote? I'm not sure. But in this one, it was really tight. And it feels like it was
an orchestration.
Right. And the fact that we don't have some sort of, again, it's 2020. We don't have some sort of technology like transparent technology that we can actually tell for sure that I kind of said it in our last episode. Like, how is it not something where I go in, my vote goes into the paper, and there's like a live board. It's like, boop, boop, my fucking unique identifier number. It doesn't have to say my name.
Yep.
My unique identifier, your vote was cast for Trump. Cool. Done. Now I know that like my vote is in the system. Like something that's like a bilateral thing where it's like, I put it in and now I see that my vote is recognized in this national system. And then I can walk away feeling good about my vote. But it's like, there's always some level of corruption.
I work with technology, and my opinion might be very unpopular, right? But I think the best system is paper voting and someone counting, because with technology you can easily manipulate anything, right?
What about blockchain? Blockchain is a transparent open log that everyone in the network can see, though.
But then that's the problem.
That's a fair rebuttal.
It is a fair rebuttal, but what I'll say is to do that, and then like you said, you cast your vote for Trump. If you start giving the results in advance, people might not go and vote, right? So I think that there needs to be some level of secrecy, and you need to cast your vote and then count everything after. And the most secure way, in my opinion, is like putting on paper and then auditing when you're counting the vote. Does it take more time? Yes, but it's what you could do is also print a receipt of your voting. But then how do you reconcile that later? It's a madness, right?
So my rant was basically a combination of what Zach and LK said, in the sense that I agree, it's 2020. There's no reason that there is no technological system out there that can track things like, if I get telemarketers that know that I moved from one county to the next, there's no reason the federal government can't know that when they have my license, they have everything. They should be automatically controlling the voter list. There's no reason why anyone else why it should be our responsibility to do that, or a local town's. It should all be done at the federal government level. And then the other thing that I was gonna go at with that is that I don't necessarily love the idea of paper and counting it by hand. And I do think that there is something to having like a unique ID or a QR code for each voter or something. But it should be some form of a Scantron, just something that, like, if I can get my SAT scores right away, and I think that like you can
crazy
nowadays,
thought, right?
Like,
we could ask for
get the same
IDs,
things?
right? Crazy thought. We could ask for IDs.
Voter ID.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But like, but seriously, why is there no way to just, they get a printed out sheet of paper the second whether I mail it in or whether I, do it on site, and automatically just comes and prints, and then they just put it in a scanner and that's it. Doesn't have to be any handwritten thing. And I also think it's bananas that they are allowing. I don't care when it was postmarked. If your vote isn't in by day of election, it shouldn't count. And you have weeks, you have months. I have friends who waited till a week before to mail their ballots back. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, where have you been? Why are you just not? You shouldn't have your vote counted then. It's just. That to me is what frustrates me about it. And I agree, there's definitely fraud in every election.
Well, that system was designed for that, right? Like they extended the timeline and everything because they knew they were gonna use that maneuver
absolutely.
to win.
And I
also,
think. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say it's hard to vote.
Zach, go.
It's hard to vote early because they're campaigning all the way up to the election. So
Right.
like things happen, news comes out, stories come out, these things come out. It's like, I want to actually see it through to election day to make my decision. I don't want to vote a month early.
So I agree in general, but I think in this election, there was nobody who was left to, within 2-3 months. But in general, I agree with that.
My only thing was, and I said this on our show, for me, it was either Trump or nothing. I'm not voting for Biden. I know that much. But it's like, do I want to vote for Donald Trump? I have a lot of trouble putting my name behind Donald Trump because he's a fucking clown. But his policies and all that stuff, yes, I lean more conservative. I just don't like him as a person. So it's like, I was like undecided right until the last minute. And I said this on our show. So it's like, I don't want to have to vote early. I just feel like we have all this fucking technology. Look at what we're doing right now. We're all sitting in these different places. This is all live stream. Like, you're telling me we can't have a technology where we can all just vote on election day and be done at the end of election day? We can't figure that out. Like, come on.
Here's the other thing quickly I'll add is, like, we're in one of the worst situations where you have the incumbent president. And people in the chat might think I'm crazy. I've been pushing for the fact of, like, changing the term limits. The president should be elected in, whether it's 6 or 8 years. And that's it. There's no re-election. You're done. You run your term. You waste so much time campaigning for your second term to begin with that you need to just avoid that whole situation and having this like peaceful transition that they're talking about now, that there's this risk of peaceful transition. It shouldn't have even come down to it. He should have got 6 to 8 years, whatever the number is. And now it's a new person. And you just go from there.
You know that he's going to campaign for whoever the other Republican is, though.
And I think this should be applied at the state level as well, right? Governors and mayors, like, because we have this rotation of presidents, right? Because it's a 2-term limit. However, in the state level and towns and city levels, they can just perpetually, run for the office, and I think that's bad.
Oh, totally, absolutely.
So,
real quick,
what were we gonna say?
One thing, just back on the Dominion thing, I just want to say. One thing that really struck me is, I don't know if you guys saw LK and Adam, but we did our live show on election night, right? And the way that we ended that, the way things were trending, Trump was headed for a victory, no problem. We go to bed and we wake up and everything's fucking changed. And there was one point in the night between 2 and 4 in the morning that all of these voting just paused. Everything stopped at 95%, and then all of a sudden, all these Biden votes just.
And which states that happened?
Oh, all the swing
Michigan,
states.
Wisconsin, and Arizona, right? Oh,
yeah.
Pennsylvania stopped counting at about 10 p.m.
It's so obvious to me. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy, but like it just seems so fucking blatant. I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
and they actually they were holding Arizona and Nevada because of that. Because if they needed, they would
Yeah,
do
right.
that on that in those
You're
states, right?
Right,
So
right.
but Nevada was like 1, 2. Oh, let's take a break. Like 3, 4.
Well,
It's like
Las Vegas
so,
is the city that never sleeps except for on election night. Like
Exactly.
we're going to bed early tonight.
of all these states, the one that has like a lot of technology, they sucked.
yep.
And
Well,
Yeah.
no, just one thing, Adam, like to the Dominion thing. I think they are in bed with the Democrats. There's no way around that. I'm waiting for the Trump campaign to go to court and show the documents and all the supporting, proof that they have. It's gonna be interesting. I honestly think that they won't be able to, turn around. I think Biden's gonna win. But I think that the Republicans need to come out strong in 2022 and 2024. That's the only way.
speaking of that, yeah, I guess. But my last question on this for everyone was just moving a little bit off of the conspiracy side and more to the opinionated side. Here is what, and I'll ask and then I'll give my take at the end. But what do you think is better for the country at this point? Is it for Trump to just concede, or is it for him to fight it out and there to be, quote unquote, no doubt about the election results? What do you think would best serve the country? E, you want to go first?
If you don't mind.
I was gonna let Zach go first, but E, I'll let you go first. Zach, just know I wanted to let you go first.
I think that everybody should want Trump to pursue this. I think that regardless of what side you're on, because if you're a Democrat and you're that sure you won, what do you have to lose? You'll also have the confidence. You will gain the confidence of people that voted for Trump if we can prove that Biden won legally. So I think that the best thing for this country is to see this through to the end. And I think people, regardless of what side you stand on, should want that for transparency's sake.
Zach, what do you think?
Well, I'm so torn on it because the country's so divided anyway that I don't think it's going to change anybody's mind either way.
Yep.
Me personally, yes, I want to see it through. I want to feel comfortable that we had a legitimate election process. I don't even know if that's possible at this point, that even myself would ever feel okay. Like, yeah, we got this 100% right. I don't think that's a thing anymore. I don't think that's possible. But we're at this point now where like the media companies and all this stuff have propped up Joe Biden as president-elect unofficially, as far as legally, like he did his thing with Kamala. They did their whole spiel. It's like, he actually isn't technically the president-elect yet. That actually hasn't happened, but in everybody's eyes, he has. So now if Trump and the legal team, if they see this through and this ever got overturned, dude, fucking, we're in for civil war. We're in for civil war. It's going to be absolutely insane. So I don't know how to answer that question, I guess. Me personally,
Fair.
Yes, I want them to see it through legally and all that. For the country's sake,
Yep.
I don't know if that's a good thing, which is such a shitty thing to say. It's
But
like,
if they get away with,
I-
if they get away with
yeah.
fraud right now, they'll never let somebody like Trump ever get through again. Like, this is it. I feel like if we don't prove it now, it's done.
Yeah, that's fair. And before I actually move on, I'm going to actually just give my take now because, again, Zach, you and I are in sync here where I agree. And I think that if there's nothing to gain here, because worst case scenario for Trump, it goes through and his cases are thrown out, or he loses in court, whatever it is. He will never ever admit that he actually lost and that it wasn't rigged. Or if, like you said, it does get overturned, Antifa will burn the fucking country down. It's just not even a question. So I do think probably what he should do is probably just concede the election at this point. And I think if and when he does it, it will be in a way that is more along the lines of, hey, I know I didn't actually lose this, but I'm going to do the right thing for what's best for the country. I'm going to be the president, the real president, and I'm going to say that I am not that I'm conceding. And then he'll take that line and he'll go with it forever. He'll probably name his book Unbeaten or something like that, or the true winner, or whatever it is. But I just think that it's I personally never loved either candidate either, and I have my reasons to like a lot of different aspects about what each of them stand for. But I will say that the new super liberal AOC type of government scares the shit out of me. So, I'm at that loss also, but I do think that at this point we've reached a point of no return, and he may as well just concede at this point. Elvin, what
no, completely
what about
disagree. Completely disagree. He should concede. He needs to see this all the way through, find out where there is fraud, and if there is fraud, and we need to fix it ultimately. What I
will
will
anyone
say,
actually believe it? But that's the problem. Like, will anyone
People-
actually believe it?
They won't believe it.
If he proves that there is fraud, the left will say that that's still a complete fabrication. It's not real.
Exactly.
And if he gets it all thrown out and it's proved that there is no fraud, the right will say that the left is still complete bullshit and they own the courts and blah blah blah. That's why I don't think anything will be proven at this point.
okay, well, and that's fine. You can feel that way. What I will say though about Trump, where he has fucked up, and his whole gang, Kaylee and what's her name there, Powell, talking about, have you seen this? Like, should we release the Kraken bullshit over the past couple of days? If you have
Yep.
critical information,
Yep.
it is your duty to share that. So I don't like that they're using this as just a ploy to get like fucking retweets and publicity. It's like, that's where I am not a huge fan of his approach, which is just dramatic and made for TV. If you have something, pursue it 100% full effort. If you don't, go away.
They're pursuing it. The court, their court dates don't, I think, start till either this week or next week for all this shit. It's coming. They have to. You can't have. They have like a whistleblower that basically sat in on the briefing meetings for how to use the Dominion system and what the plan was. They have all this. Where else are you going to present it other than a court?
So what is a Kraken? Is that just that feels like another conspiracy term you throw out there just to drum up some hype, pretty much?
Well,
The storm is coming.
well,
yeah.
I mean, she's going to release something that's going to fuck everything up, is what she's saying.
So why can't she say that? Why can't she say, we have this and we're excited to share it in the court of law?
Yep.
You know what's going to happen is what I've been speculating the whole time. Nancy Pelosi is going to be the president in January because we're not going to have a president
God, no.
by
Please, dear
January
God, no.
21st or whatever. And the Constitution says that the Speaker of the House is the interim president
All right.
if we cannot decide on the president.
Who's changing their mind and that they want Trump to concede at that point?
At that point, yes.
Yes.
So, Adam,
Okay, what about you? You've been uncharacteristically quiet.
I was waiting my turn. So, how do you say never in Hebrew?
How do I say never? There's actually a bunch of different words. How do you want it to be said? And in what context?
Well, I want to say that Trump should never concede. He needs to fight this. He needs to make sure the process is not flawed. Regardless if the Democrats win or if the Republicans win, we need to recover trust in the process, which right now we don't. Right. So that's my point. He cannot concede. He needs to fight. Right.
Just say it that way. Exactly. Yeah, something like that.
And he needs to fight. Like I agree with you to a point that he needs to fight, but not because of the Democrats. It's because of the system. We need to make sure that system works. And right now, I don't think it works. But the thing is, whoever wins, right, will people support? For the past years, for the past 4 years, right, half of the country did not support Trump because they're whiny babies. Now, if Trump happens to revert this and wins, will people support him? Because I know if Biden is confirmed, everyone will support him, right? We may not like him, but we're not going to be 4 years like, no, my president, hashtag this, hashtag that, blah, 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 blah.
I mean, the suicide rates will be skyrocketing. We'll be trapped in our house for years under Biden.
Listen, I'm an immigrant. I got my green card.
No way.
I got my green card during Trump's administration. I got my green card again on Trump's administration. I got my citizenship during Trump's administration. So when people say, oh, he's against immigrants, he's not. He's against illegal immigrants that are here stealing jobs from people. They're against fake companies, like especially India. And I'm not picking on Indian companies, but like these people bring a bunch of workers at a very low wage because they want to go around the system instead of hiring local talent. So this is what he's fighting for. He's not fighting against all immigrants. He's fighting against these loopholes in the immigration laws and against illegal immigrants that are here not paying taxes and not contributing to the economy. So I think that's my point, right? So if Biden wins, we'll support him. But if Trump wins, people need to get behind and just stop making this. This is fake news. It's fabricated. He may say stupid shit, and I don't like him. Like Zach said, I don't like him. I think he's stupid. I think when he won the first time, he should have be less of a baby as well. He's spoiled and he acts like spoiled, right? He said stupid shit. But tell me a law that he passed that says he hates homosexuals or homosexual needs to die. Tell me a law that says that legal immigrants need to go back home, right? Talk about the cages, right? All built during Obama years, right? So stop the bullshit. Stop hanging on fake arguments, to bash the president. He's an asshole. I wish there were better candidates, but in terms of economy, U.S. had never been better in the past 20 years.
I do think we can all agree that it's a very sad state of affairs for our country, that this was the best that we could do.
Yep.
That it was, Joe Biden and Donald Trump as the as the two nominees. It is just
but I mean, let's forget about the Democrats, because he was the best of the worst, right?
Okay.
Who would you pick on the Republican side?
I'm obsessed with and in love with Nikki Haley.
Oh,
she
yeah,
is the greatest.
She's killed.
No, it's because I've also seen her at the APAC conference speak very well for the past 3-4 years, and I think that she would make a great president. Some of us are okay with women being president. LK, I know you're not, but some of us are.
I'm very fine with that. And contrary to you, I respect all religions. So
I don't.
Yeah, I know.
We're gonna have a female president in 6 months anyway.
Very true.
So that's right. One person that I would love to see is maybe Ted Cruz. He's less crazy than Trump.
Oh, shocker! You want to go with a Hispanic? Shocker.
I was gonna say Marco Rubio, but I haven't heard from him since 2016. I don't know if
he disappeared quick.
Yeah, he disappeared, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. There's no better options now. And if Trump really loses, I think the Republican Party needs to go and reassess the situation. I would love to Trump to go back in 2024 and run again. But if he doesn't want to do that, we need a pool of good candidates to go against the Democrats.
Well, do you think that the Republican Party will sort of renormalize itself after Trump, or do you think that it'll stay in sort of this Trumpist Republican world? You're shaking your head at me.
I think Trump has done, it's a weird way to say it, but he's done so much damage to the Republican Party and what they used to be. I feel like he's forever changed them, or at least divided it on some level. I don't think it'll ever be what it was before.
Well, I think he was able to divide the same way that the Democrats are divided, right?
I was going to say,
the center left
be
and
doing
the
the same
far
thing.
extreme, right?
Yep.
They are totally divided. Republican was always seen as like that unit, which is not the case. There's the extreme right, which where Trump leans, and like the center right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think he was able to fracture the party as well. And I agree. We'll be interested to see what happens in the next 4 years. But I think they need to reassess. I don't think they will. I think they surfed, the Trump wave. I don't think they're going to care about Trump if he leaves office. But I think he will either run again as Republican or as independent. And I think he has a great chance to win as independent.
He will
if
fucking
he runs
win.
correctly. Yeah.
I think if he loses, he's done, because he's going to have bigger problems. They're going to come after him. They're not going to make life easy for him. I'm not going to go as far as saying they're going to throw him in jail, because that would just be some crazy conspiracy theory.
Lock him up.
I will say his life is going to be difficult.
Can I just say one last thing? I feel like Trump always looks like he's going to lose right until the end when he wins. It just the last election, the Russian collusion bullshit, the dude is a winner and he's a fighter. And I seriously believe he's going to pull this off as crazy and as much of a, it's going
That might be the craziest thing you've said on the KMS YouTube.
It might be.
No, it's not.
But I think this upheaval is going to happen. I think it's almost inevitable at this point.
So one of his main promises 4 years ago was drain the swamp. How much do you think he drained the swamp? Do you think he was able to drain as much as he wanted?
No,
or not?
I don't think he realized what he got himself into. I think it's so much deeper. But I think he's making a good dent, and I think if
Absolutely.
another 4 years, he'd almost eradicate it.
But do you think so? Do you think that his draining of the swamp, though, sort of gave rise to the AOC Bernie Sanders level of, extreme left, or do you think maybe that's just kind of like a Tea Party flare up that'll just come and go, or is that going to be the future of the left at this point?
It will be the future of the
I think
left.
there's a good chance that's the future of the left.
Yeah.
If it is, though, they're
Unfortunately.
going to bury themselves. They can't do that
Good.
because not enough people on the left are in line with that. It's too extreme.
Mhm.
Because they're too far left.
And you know what, guys? Like, regardless if it's extreme left, center right, or extreme right, one will come, one will go. They will all make money, and we'll all be here making little money and complaining. Like they don't care.
This is the problem with the two-party system in general. That back to your question of like who should have been the Republican. It's like there's no good answer because we're stuck in this fucking two-party system.
Yep.
I feel like it's so much
go.
bigger than that. And plus, aside from Trump, anybody who rises to prominence on either side is corrupt as fuck. I mean, they all are. They all have to weasel their way into these positions and do all this shady shit to get there. So the whole system is just fucked up. That's why I've always been apolitical from the beginning. But this year I voted for Trump, and I was like, it was basically because it was like, I can't, the left is so crazy right now. I like can't get behind that. I feel like I have to vote for Trump.
And I read some articles about even the Democrats complaining about the radical, what they call progressive, right? Because they basically said, you guys fucked us up because a lot of people and the Republicans did well to associate the Democrats to extreme left, like Hugo Chavez and Fidel Castro. So that scared a lot of people, majority the Latinos, right? That experienced that. So the Democrats were like, "What the fuck? We're not like this." At least the majority is not like this.
Right.
We are all in the same bucket now because of you. So
Mhm.
that was a good thing about it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the bottom line is this: big tech is clearly aligned with the left, and they control the media. And I know we've talked about this in our show quite a bit. I know on the agenda is going to be pushing age limits down and getting 16-year-olds eligible to vote. So if you can control the minds of a high school child because they're holding their phone or their iPad all the time, and Twitter is telling you what to think, and YouTube and all these big tech companies. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's stacked. So I think that progressive group is here to stay. And like you see this stuff, like they're getting rid of Trump and they're all going to celebrate. The folks out there like burning buildings down really are creating this image of like freedom fighters for a young generation. Yep. Like these 14-year-olds are like, that's how it's done. You're taking a Nazi out. That's scary shit.
Yeah.
But those are seeds that are being planted now that we're going to pay for in 10, 20, 30 years.
But why is big tech left? They're big corporation, big business. Wouldn't they be right? This is something I don't understand.
I have a conspiracy theory for you guys.
They're sinking their own fucking ships. And also, last thing, real quick, like we talked about this too. All these people that are like, we're the revolution, we're on the left. It's like when big tech and big media are on your side, you're on the wrong side. You're not part of the revolution. You're part of the fucking fake news and the whole thing. Like,
here's my thought. I think, and until someone proves to me, I think when Bezos go there to vote, or Gates and all of those like Zuckerberg,
they vote right.
They vote right, but they cannot say it because majority of their employees are left, so they can do that. But I'm pretty sure like they like their money, right?
Well, yeah, and it's also where they're located and where they come from. A lot of these guys are coming from, like Zuckerberg is coming from, Harvard and Cambridge, and they're all in and around San Francisco, and that just very liberal areas, and that's what they see, and that's where they are. And I also a part of me also thinks that it has to do with social norms to a degree. A lot of these people are the quote unquote nerds and, grow up without, being the popular kids, and they see, that the mass society wants to be more liberal, and, that's the right thing to do. So they're going to embrace it and try to, emulate that so that they can get popular and they can be what they need to be. And, to a point, Zach, yeah, they're definitely shooting themselves in the foot by, aligning themselves with corporate policies that'll end up taking away from their bottom line. But I am sure there are a lot more left-leaning users in the overall user base, especially among young teens and and early 20s kids, than there are right. So if they have to adapt to gain their user base, that sort of adds up more probably than what they're losing by aligning with the left.
And isn't the great state of California almost bankrupt due to the
It's also
Democrat
about
government?
to be shut down.
Yeah. Well, that's why they burn. That's why they just burn themselves down
Yep.
every year to get some emergency funds and,
Yep.
and don't do anything about the actual problem in the forest.
Well, and these uber wealthy tech leaders, if this far left regime comes in, they're just going to move their money offshore and hide it anyway and not get taxed. So like they're fucking talking out of both sides of their mouth and they're pandering.
Exactly.
And it's such like a fucking facade. It's ridiculous.
I know. And I think there's a lot of influence. The same way that, the Republicans are able to tie Democrats and socialism, the Democrats do a good job tying Republicans to anti-immigrant, which is not true. And California has a lot of immigrants that become citizen at one point, right? And they have always been listening and hearing that Republicans equal bad guys, equal deportation, which is not true. And they tend to vote left. But,
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like, to me, and again, bring it back to my view is that, I look at the left and everything is free Palestine. Israel is the worst. They're they're enslaving and horrible, and they're we should all align with all the other Arab countries. Meanwhile, Israel's the only place where a gay person wouldn't get rocks thrown at their head, or where women have equal rights. And it's just like, are you liberal, or are you just saying what you hear from your college professor or whatever?
This happens in every single fucking country.
I know.
The left people, we support gay rights, blah blah blah, and then they wear a Che Guevara shirt. The guy was notoriously famous for killing gay people, right?
Yep.
So like the inconsistency is amazing.
Well, we've said this a bunch of times on our show. Republicans want to give you a job. Democrats want to give you money.
Yep.
And it's like, that's what it always boils down to. People like young kids are like, yeah, the government should give us money. These rich fucks shouldn't have all that money. They should give it to us. We need this money. And for what? For nothing. You're just entitled to this money for no reason. But then as you actually grow up and you become an adult, you're like, wait a second. It's actually really good for everybody in the country to get a job and contribute to society
And pull their own weight. What's
pull
the
your
plan?
own fucking weight.
What did we say? Was it 50,000 on tuition that Biden is talking about crediting? Essentially, I think that's the plan.
Where the hell is he going to pull that?
Wait, sorry,
money from?
say that again.
They're gonna print the money.
They're going to pay 50,000 of all outstanding school loans out there.
Do I get a check for 50
I still
grand?
have student debt. I still have
I
student
already
debt.
There you
paid
go.
mine off.
Good for you.
You'll get it paid for.
I am completely against this, and I still have student debt. Fuck
Go for
that.
Go for it.
Well,
So
it's also, though, to your point, and I've had this conversation with people where, my LK is about to insert a joke here, but where
No, I'm not.
my parents are relatively successful, I guess. And I saw how hard my dad had to work, and how what he sacrificed in terms of being with the family at different times and all this other shit. And that makes me want to work that hard because I want the same type of comfort for my family. Meanwhile, on the same side, I'm looking at people who I went to high school with, who are posting about their latest job as a copy editor in somewhere, which is fine. Like, great, do whatever makes you happy, but don't complain that you're not making millions of dollars and sit there and say that the government needs to abolish all of this corporate oligarchy and that we need to make sure that everyone gets the money. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, these people worked hard for their money. Whether you hate Jeff Bezos or not, whether you think he's an asshole or not, he worked his fucking ass off to get to where he is.
And
Mark Zuckerberg worked his ass off to get to where he is. All
I
these people did. I mean,
So I'm very conservative in terms of economy, but I'm more libertarian than anything else because I believe in racial reparation, right? I believe that something needs to be done. I think there's been years and years of problems and racism and all that, but the way that the Democrats go about it's completely wrong because they want to just tip the scale, right? And it sucks. It needs to be a a process, right? You won't just flip the switch. And I've always tend to go to the vertical of immigrant, which is what I am, so I can talk about it. But I know there's much more problem with Native Americans, with the Black people and African Americans, So I just want to put out there that racial reparations is important, but the way they're going about it is completely wrong and it's completely pandering. I saw yesterday on Twitter, I think it was Ayanna Presley saying student debt is racial justice.
Yep.
And it's not, because a lot of people that will get are white, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of white people that are poor. Do they deserve? Yes. But is that going to repair, no, or give justice to African Americans and natives? Maybe not, So there are ways to do that.
When I read Ayanna Presley's comments, and maybe someone here can explain this to me. How is what she said not just so violently racist? Like, I mean, is she not basically saying that African Americans can't afford to, work hard and make enough money to pay off their loans? I understand completely that there are societal issues and that, there are glass ceilings and things like that. But just in general, I just feel like it's such a racist take that, we need to be getting these handouts because we can't get to a place where we can pay for ourselves or take care of ourselves. And it just, that bothers me more than anything else.
Well, I'll say this on that topic. I think she framed it wrong. I think she's a lunatic. Don't get me wrong. But if she said it like this and said, hey, I don't know, I think African American is 12% of the population in the country, roughly, right? If she said 88% of school debt belongs to Caucasian or non-Black people, and it feels wrong that we're paying the majority of that money for those folks. I mean, it's just a matter of numbers. So I can understand what she's trying to say if that's what she meant. But it's just, I mean, you can paint that picture with anything just due to the demographics. The other thing is, I think in 2035, I was reading, like, there will be, like, Caucasian will actually be a minority in this country ultimately. So, like, I don't understand the need to further that discussion. To me, it's more of it's a status situation, right? It's like financial. It's not race. It's not gender at this point. For me, I live in a bubble. It's more of an economic situation. So I don't know.
Well, I also go ahead. I cut you off earlier. Go ahead.
Not to flip this too hard, but the whole student debt thing, the whole problem with student debt comes back to big government on the left subsidizing student loans. The reason tuition is so fucking high is because these colleges know that they're going to get paid because these student loans are guaranteed federally. So the federal government, when somebody gets into a school, they get a federal loan, the school gets their money. Okay. The onus is on the kid to pay the money back. Well, and that's because of big government. It's because of this big government problem where the government is subsidizing these universities for these kids' loans. That's another left problem. It's jack tuition through the fucking roof because the schools know they're going to get their money no matter what from the government. That's a problem.
The foreign students, right? Universities love foreign students because they pay full tuition, right? There's no incentive to recruit the in-state student or even out of state because they'll probably have to give scholarship and stuff.
Acceptance rates in colleges are higher than they've ever been because they know that like a certain percentage of the kids are just going to drop out in the first year. The schools get their money no matter what. So they jack the rates up. The government pays them the tuition, and then the kid is on the hook for the money. So these lefties who are all like, trying to support these young kids, they're the ones who are indirectly or directly fucking them by guaranteeing these loans to the schools and leaving them with all this fucking debt.
So here's a variation to your point, right? Here's a variation. Especially in tech, right? The left love to say, hey, your college degree is worth shit. Go learn a programming language, go participate in a 12-week boot camp, and you're good to go. Google will hire you without a college degree, so will Amazon, et cetera, et cetera. So when AOC posted yesterday that they were gonna pay the student debt, right? I was like, hey, how about my car loan? Because I need more of my car to go to work than my college degree. Because you told me that college degree is not important. But my car is important because if I don't get to work, I get fired. not now, but in a normal circumstance.
Yeah,
so
right.
are they
totally.
gonna pay off my car loan as well, which is like more important than the college degree?
But it's also though a degree of entitlement. Like, I mean, so I how can I say this without, you know, quote unquote doxing myself? So the company that I work for, right? So we switched everyone to remote, and we at the corporate level were getting requests from people back in March and April saying, "Hey, now that I'm home or I'm running my heat longer, so I assume I can expense that, right?" Or, "Hey, now I want to get the next level of internet. Can I expense that?" Or, "Hey, I want that $400 ergonomic chair. I can expense that, right?" And it's just at a certain point, everyone feels so entitled to everything that they want and everything they need, and that's just the society that we've created at this point. Everyone is just I don't know where that line changed and how that happened, but everyone just feels like everything is owed to them and you don't need to work for it.
But you know, Adam, at this point, like if we keep this work from home a norm, I agree, because the companies are saving so much money in real estate and all the utilities.
Yeah, but
I think some of this money should go back to the employees.
So yes and no. I mean, in
some.
all fairness, they won't be saving money for a while until leases are up. Even if you can break a lease early, you're still paying to it. But also, you have to understand that so our company gave everyone, and I know it's not as much as Google gave out, $1,000 per person. We gave out a couple $100 for everyone, and it was still helpful. I mean, I was still able to get a second monitor and a whole setup that worked for me. And it's just everyone just feels it just bothers me that everyone feels like they are just owed everything instead of needing to get it on their own.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say, so my company, I'm in tech as well. They gave us $1K when this all started. They're giving us another $1K in January, and they treat us like gold. I mean, I love it. They pamper us for sure. But we're in tech. I think we're in a bubble. Like, consider the dude that's working at a gas station, right?
Yep.
At the height of COVID, getting paid less than his buddy that's now sitting on the couch because he decided that he doesn't want to work anymore, and he's putting himself at risk. Like, we've talked about how like some missteps Trump has made, and to me, one of the biggest one was the how he's kind of paid out on the stimulus. Like, rather than encouraging people not to work, I think he fucked up by just not leaning into the fact, like, if you're out there working and we deem you critical, like, there should be hazard pay. You should be rewarded more to show up to work. Like, it's created this weird like vacuum now where people are like, why should I work? There's that entitlement, which is even scarier, which is like, I don't have to go to work. Why should I? Like, the government's going to take care of me now. They keep extending unemployment benefits. There's no point for me to do anything. Yep. So I don't know how you break that in a year from now or however long it's going to take.
And actually, it's funny you mentioned, I hired someone to take care of my lawn back in April. And I was like, hey, why are you doing this by yourself? And he said, I had to lay off half of my employees because of cost. And then the other half just took the package because it was better for them to not be employed and collect benefits. So he went from 6 people working for him to himself.
Wow.
So it's part of the game. And even Dunkin' Donuts, like, you went to a bunch of Dunkin' Donuts, a lot of the regular workers were all gone because they were making more money sitting at their couch.
It's crazy. I honestly think it all goes back to like buying votes. That's what the Democrats would do. That's why they put these type of things in place. They make you dependent on them financially. They make you look to them for answers, and then you vote for them because you want that, the unlimited unemployment or whatever it may be. Whereas, like, I feel like Trump is trying to put something more in place. Like, yeah, we're not going to take away unemployment, but we're going to put you on like a plan to get you back into the workforce as long as you can, and that's the way it should be. You should contribute to society if you're physically able to.
Well, but that textbook left, right? Make them, dependent on government.
Yeah, hence the $50,000 for your college and all that fun stuff. Like, you're buying love.
All right. Well, I think that's probably a good spot to wrap this. LK, you almost got us up to the 90 minutes that you were hoping we'd hit.
Can you hit a couple of comments? Any good comments that we can just wrap up with?
Yeah, there was. Yeah,
there's been a lot of comments.
Actually a good one that I want to bring it up.
Okay, go.
RB mentioned that in the future, we will have more problems with swing states like
Yeah.
Texas and Florida, because the tech people are all moving there and they lean left. So we might see those states turning blue, which is
Yeah, but I
fucking
think we
nightmare,
talked about this.
you know?
I think they're leaving those states because they don't like the liberal policies. They want
Hopefully.
to. Right.
Hopefully.
So I think if they're going to Texas and Florida or whatever, it's because they want to vote right. Not.
Have you been to Austin? Have you been to Austin?
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's
I've
little
never been, but
California.
I've never
Terrible.
Yeah.
It's
But
little
that's the thing, though.
California.
Like, okay, so BFD, if Mark Zuckerberg say moves to Texas, but then he's hiring 100,000 people, those people aren't conservative. So you know that's where I see the influx of the liberals. So that's a really good point.
But then what
states
happens
could
is,
do it.
but what happens if they get enough libs in that state working there? They're gonna vote for the
balance another
local
state.
legislators, and then that state's gonna turn into California, and everyone's gonna leave there because now they're gonna get taxed out the ass and all this.
Because people
It's just
don't
this
think-
rotation. They're just gonna
they
keep
think
moving.
of themselves, right? It's human behavior.
Right.
They're like, oh, I'm left leaning. I'm leaving the blue state of California that's fucked up. Let's move to Texas, which is red. Let's transform blue because maybe it gets better. It's like the Latino immigrants, right? If you are a real immigrant and came from those countries, you will never vote Democrats. However, the first generation Americans that call themselves Latinos, those Latinx, right? The first generation Americans, they are always the ones that said Democrats, because they think they need to repair or make up for what the parents suffered. Meanwhile, their parents are like, hell yes, I'm here. I thank God I'm here. Even though I worked like a slave, it's better than my country. I'll never want to see my country
that's
like
what
that.
RB also in the comments said, that it seems like one of the issues that the Democrats had was that they underestimated Hispanics in Florida, thinking that they're all Democrats when it's probably closer to 50-50. And, that's obviously something that I would probably guess more.
Latinos are typically like Christians too, which I think
Yep.
falls a lot more in line with like Republican in that type of context, if you will.
And I don't have the numbers, but I'm willing to bet money that a lot of the Latinos in California are not. They are Americans, right? They were born here.
Yeah.
And that's the issue, because like most of the Latinos in Florida for now are Cuban descent, and they infuse in your mentality that socialism is bad. So even though they are the second, third generation Americans, they have that impression of Cuba. Meanwhile, in California, like like Mexico and Central America, they come here, they grow up as American. They just think they need to vote for the Democrats because their parents suffered, but their parents suffered more back home than in here. So I think there's a discrepancy on how they see, the reality. And
Cherokee 51774 says that the left lost a lot of Latinos after the Elian Gonzalez incident.
I don't remember what was that.
That was the kid that came over from Cuba, right?
Yeah.
And
They like kicked the door, and there was that famous picture
Yep.
of him on the cover of that magazine or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, was that the one that was kicked out?
Yeah.
So Charming Nicole actually a while ago, who I'm guessing is a charming, nice lady, she agreed with you, Alvin, and she was saying that yeah, exactly right. That the purpose of losing for Trump was to show who everyone else, who the left really is. That he knew they would cheat and knew that he would win big. So this is going to show how corrupt their party is.
I'm with you.
I definitely think he knew they were going to cheat. I mean, he's been warning us all along, but
the problem is
he doesn't lose.
That means he wins either way. So if he loses, it was because he's
Yep.
like playing chess and they're all playing checkers. And if he wins, it's because he was supposed to win. So he can't lose.
I think all of us have been
Fucking
Patriots
winner.
fans for too long. All right, guys. Well, listen, thank you so much. This was really a lot of fun. Shout out to Ned, who I actually heard from. He's been in the chat, but he actually had to deal with an emergency situation. So,
Football's good.
exactly. Thoughts and prayers there.
Actually, the lentil soup didn't fare well with his comment. Like old people like to have soup for dinner. And
God.
didn't fare
Anyways,
well.
this is a lot of fun. We're really excited for this. Will hopefully be the first of many anal zeros. Guys, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah,
And
very excited.
this was a lot of fun. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having
boys.
us.
All right, thank you.